Okay, sir, you can continue, sir.
Yes. Students, good morning all. Welcome to the session. Continuation of network theory. This is the lecture 2 on basics of circuits in network theory subject. Students, in the last class I discussed about what is the mechanism of energy flow through the conductor. That is what the mechanism of current flow through the conductor. That concept I discussed. And we seen one final observation there. That means whenever electric field is applied to the conductor, I given this one, the final observation in the last session. If there is no electric field, there is no any energy loss, there is no any power loss in the conductor. But if you apply the electric field, then only there is a energy loss or power loss in the conductor. That power loss is treated as a voltage drop in the conductor. Voltage drop in the conductor. I'm changing the color. Students, this is the last class continuation. Here I taken one conductor. For this conductor, whenever electric field is applied, if the electric field is applied to this conductor, I taken this is the electric field. This I taken as a positive and negative. Then there is a flow of current through the conductor. Because this electric field will applies the force on the each electron. That's why there is a flow of electrons through the conductor. And there is some energy loss. I taken this length of the conductor is L. The cross-sectional area of the conductor is A. And I given whenever the current is passing through this conductor, the energy loss, the power loss P equal to sigma E square. This formula I given. Yes, there is energy loss. The kinetic energy loss equal to half m into Vd square. Students, please concentrate. That means the power is dissipated in the form of heat in the conductor. This energy loss is considered as a voltage drop. Now the concept is, that means whenever the current is flowing through the conductor, there is some energy loss in the conductor. There is some power loss in the conductor. If there is a loss takes place, means there is some opposition for the flow of this current. Because of that only the power loss takes place. Why the energy loss takes place? Why the power loss takes place means there is some opposition for the flow of this current. That's the reason why there is some energy loss. That energy loss is in terms of power loss. That is in terms of heat. The power loss is in the form of heat. Now there is opposition for the flow of current. Actually, this energy loss is the energy flow. Whatever the energy flow is there in a conductor, it is a continuous and distributive nature. The energy flow in a conductor, whenever electric field is applied to the conductor, the energy flow in a conductor is a continuous and distributive nature. I am giving this term here. The energy flow in a conductor, the energy flow in a conductor, the energy flow in a conductor is continuous and a distributive nature. Continuous or distributive nature. This is continuous or distributive nature. That's the reason why the energy loss is also continuous and continuous or distributive nature. Now, why this energy loss means? Because there is some opposition. Now, this opposition for the flow of current is represented by, actually it is approximated as using three lumped parameters. Using three lumped parameters. That lumped parameters are, that opposition is physically represented by using three lumped parameters. One is resistance. This opposition for the flow of energy, this opposition for the loss of energy is represented by three lumped parameters, not in distributive. It is approximated as a lumped parameters. What is the lumped? What is the distributive? Later on I will explain. I think all of you know this one. But whatever the opposition is there, that opposition is approximated as using three lumped parameters. One is resistance. The another one is inductance. The third element is capacitor. Like this, we are getting the three elements. Why these elements are comes into the existence means, in order to represent the loss of energy or opposition for the flow of current. Opposition for the flow of current is represented by three lumped parameters, that is the resistance, inductance and capacitance. Inductance and capacitance. Now the question is, what is the direction of current in all these elements? What is the polarity across all these elements? I told already, this energy loss is considered as a drop in these elements. Let the drop in this element is, this is V, and this is V, and this is also V. The voltage across this resistor drop is V. The voltage across inductor is also V. The voltage across this capacitor is V. Let this drop. Now, what is the direction of current through these elements? We are approximated as some elements in order to represent the opposition for the flow of current. Then what is the direction of current through these elements? Students, you know this one? E equal to V by L. Electric field is voltage per unit length is treated as an electric field. That's why the units of electric field is volts per meter. Volts per meter. What is the current density? J equal to I by A. We know this. L is the scalar. E is the vector. That's why the polarity of voltage across these elements is same that of the electric field polarity. When I take electric field polarity is plus minus, then the polarity of voltage across all these elements is also plus minus. This also plus minus. This also plus minus. This is the scalar. The polarity of voltage across these elements, the voltage drop across these elements is decided by the supply polarity. Is decided by the supply. Students, please concentrate. That's why you have taken this is plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. If you take this is plus minus, then if you interchange the polarity, this is minus plus, then you also you take minus plus, minus plus, minus plus. Understand? So students, for example, this you know this basic. For example, one resistor is connected here. For this resistor, across this resistor, I connected one source. This is the source. This is the E. Source is different, drop is different. Okay. Now, what the polarity of across this resistor is equal to this source polarity only, plus minus. Why it is equal to source polarity? This is the reason. E bar equal to V by R. The polarity of voltage across these elements is decided by the E only, because this is the scalar. It is the scalar means this polarity and this polarity is same. Then what is the direction of current? Yes, friends. What is the direction of current? Here area is the scalar. The direction of current through these elements is same that of the direction of J. The direction of J is also same that of the E only. I and J directions are same that of E only. That's why this is the direction of the current. same that of the direction of E only. Okay, like this, we can decide the polarity of voltage across these elements and current through these elements. But one observation here, very important. This again, it will be repeated in Telegrand's theorem. Very important, students. If the source is present, in all these, actually these elements are passive elements. Why it is a passive? Later on I will give. These are the passive elements. In all these elements, always current is enter at positive terminals of the, always current is enter at positive terminals. If the current is enter at all these, current is enter at positive terminals, then all these elements takes the energy. If the current is enter at positive terminals of all these elements, then it takes the energy. What I am telling that, for example, if it is a resistor, the current is enter at positive terminal. If it is an inductor, the current is enter at positive terminal. If it is a capacitor, the current is enter at positive terminal. Then in all these cases, the energy, it takes the, it not delivers the energy, it takes the energy. All the element takes the energy. Takes the energy from the source. From the source. If the source is present. From the source. If source is present. If source is present. Present. But point to remember, if the source is absent, actually this inductor and capacitors are memory elements, or it's also called energy storage elements. Later on in detail about this element, later on I will give. But this minimum knowledge, you know, these are memory elements or energy storage elements. If the source is absent from these two elements, the energy is released. Initially, because of the source, energy is stored in L and C. If the source is removed, these elements delivers the energy. But these elements will deliver the energy to the resistor. In that circuit, if the resistor is also present, then these elements will deliver the energy to the resistor. That means, in the case of L and C, if the current is enter at positive terminal, then it takes the energy. If the current is leaving from positive terminal, it delivers the energy. But in the case of resistor, always current is enter at positive terminal, because always it takes the energy. It can, because it is a dissipating element. The resistor is not a storage element, it is a dissipating element. That's why in the case of resistor, always current is enter at positive terminal and it takes the energy. If the source is absent, if the source is absent, in the case of memory elements, mainly in the case of inductor and capacitor, if the source is absent, this inductor and capacitor will delivers the energy, release the energy actually. That means it delivers the energy, release the energy. If the current is leaving from positive terminal, then it releases the energy or delivers the energy to the some other source or some other element. Some other element in the sense, it is a resistor. This is memoryless element, it is a memory element. Inductor and capacitors are memory because it is having the storage capability. But these are memoryless element. The resistor is memory element. That's why in the case of resistor, always current is enter at positive terminal, always it takes the energy. But in the case of inductor and capacitor, if the current is enter at positive terminal, then it takes the energy. If the current is leaving at positive terminal, it releases the energy or it delivers the energy. Okay. That's the reason why these three elements comes into the existence. So why this resistor, inductor and capacitance comes into the existence in circuit theory? This is the reason. There is some energy loss in the each conductor. Here energy loss or power loss means there must be some opposition. That's why there is some loss. There is some opposition, that's why there is a loss. If there is no opposition, where is the loss? That's the reason why that opposition is represented by three elements, that is resistor, inductor, and capacitor. Yes, students, in detail about what exactly resistance, inductance, capacitance, what are the different formulas, all these in detail that I want to discuss later, we will see. At this point, you remember, students. Yes, this is the historical view. Why it is comes into the existence. This is the historical view only. Yes, students, please concentrate. Just now I explained. The opposition for the electrical energy flow is continuous or distributive in nature, but practically we can approximate this distributive opposition into three lumped oppositions called resistance, inductance, capacitance for lower frequencies. But this approximation is applicable only for lower frequencies up to 1 megahertz only. These oppositions are approximated as a lumped. Actually, it is a distributive nature. What is the distributive element? What is the lumped element? I will explain, students. I will explain. Simple example. Whatever the transmission lines are there, that is the distributive elements. What are the inductor and capacitors? All these are the lumped elements. Physically, we can touch. Yes, this is a this much of inductance is there. This much of capacitance is there. This much of resistance is there. Physically, we can touch like that. Then it is a physically separable. That is physically we can touch that one. Then that is nothing but a lumped. For example, if there is a transmission line is there, just by seeing the transmission line, what is the resistance, what is the inductance, what is the capacitance, can you tell like that? No, we can't say. But physically, if there is a separable, yes, how much inductance, how much, then that is nothing but a lumped elements. In detail that you will see later. That is, this opposition is approximated as a lumped oppositions, but this is not for higher frequencies, up to only for lower frequencies. But this approximation is applicable up to 1 megahertz only. The distributive nature is approximated as a lumped up to 1 megahertz only. Up to 1 megahertz only. Take the example. I think electrical students, you know this one. For example, in power system, if you want to analyze the power system network, what we are doing? That a transmission network is approximated as a pi network, T network. Yes, like that we are. That means we are dividing into inductor, capacitors, like that we are dividing. But that approximation is applicable only for low frequencies up to 1 megahertz. But our power system is operating at 50 Hz frequency only. That's the reason why we are approximating that distributive nature as a lumped nature. The distributive nature as a lumped nature. Even EC students in EMTL also, actually in electromagnetic theory, for any frequency we can apply. Electromagnetic theory can apply for any frequency. But this network theory is applied for only for low frequency. That is, network theory is valid for lower frequencies up to 1 megahertz. Because up to 1 megahertz only, we are approximated as a lumped parameters. That's the reason why our network theory is valid for low frequencies up to 1 megahertz only. This is the historical view. But at higher frequencies, above 1 megahertz, we cannot approximate distributive elements into lumped elements, and hence no lumped electric circuit, so no network theory. If there is a lumped element, then only we can apply the network theory concept. Understand? But here the field theory approach is used directly in distributive conductors. If there is any distributive conductors, then above 1 megahertz, if you want to analyze the network, then directly you can apply the field theory to analyze the distributive networks. But the field theory approach of solving distributed electric network is valid for all frequencies. For lower frequencies, it is valid. For higher frequencies, valid. It's starting from 0. That means for DC also it is valid. Starting from 0. That's the meaning. The field theory approach of solving distributed electric network is valid for all frequencies, for lower frequencies and higher frequencies. But network theory is valid for only for low frequencies, that is up to 1 megahertz. That is 0 hertz to 1 megahertz only it is possible. But above 1 megahertz, if you want to analyze the any network, means compulsory you go for the field theory concept. That's why in EMTL, actually EC students are there. Mainly we are operating the frequency in megahertz, 100 megahertz, 200 megahertz. In that case, we can't apply the network theory concept. Then in order to analyze that transmission line concept, then we go for the field theory concept. But network theory analysis is applicable only for lower frequencies for up to 1 megahertz only. Yes, students, understand? Yeah, this is the historical view, students. Yeah, this is the historical view. You please concentrate. Yeah, this is about why these RLC elements comes into the existence. Why these RLC elements comes into the existence. You please concentrate, students. With this knowledge in basics, the next concept is types of elements. Before going to in detail discussion of what the resistance, what the inductance, what the capacitance, what the equivalent circuits. Before going to that one, first I want to discuss this concept, types of network elements. Students, please concentrate. This very important concept for competitive point of view. Already questions are framed in GATE and ESE based on this concept. Yes, please concentrate. Mainly in circuits or networks, the elements are broadly classified into, there is a 10 types of elements. 10 types of elements. Active and passive, 2 elements. Linear and non-linear, 2 elements. Bilateral and unilateral, 2 elements. Like that, 5 into 2, 10 elements. There is a 10 types of elements in networks or circuits. One is active and passive elements. Yes, students. Linear and non-linear elements. Bilateral and unilateral elements. Distributed and lumped elements. Time invariant and time varying elements. Time variant elements. Time invariant and time varying elements. These are the totally 10 types of elements is there in networks. Now I want to discuss in detail about each element. First we concentrate on active and passive elements. What do you mean by active element? What do you mean by passive elements? Yes. Students, please concentrate. An element is said to be active element. It is able to deliver electrical energy to external connected network. Then that elements are treated as active elements. That means the elements which delivers the electrical energy to the external connected network. If you consider the time is in infinite time, you take the infinite time also. You consider the infinite time. An element is said to be active element. It is able to deliver electrical energy to external connected network. Is nothing but active elements. Then what are the examples of active elements? The sources, all the sources are the examples like generator, battery, all these are the active elements. One more point also you remember, students, elements that are capable of amplification is also active elements. Elements that are capable of amplification is also active elements, students. The example is BJT is capable of amplification. Operational amplifiers is also capable of amplification. Then that's why these elements is also treated as a active elements. The elements which delivers the energy to external connected network is active element. The elements that are capable of amplification is also active element. The example is BJT and op-amp is also active elements. These are some examples. Yes, friends, what are the passive elements? An element is said to be passive element. It absorbs electrical energy and converted into other form of energy is nothing but a passive element. An element is said to be passive element. It absorbs electrical energy and converted into other form of energy. The examples of passive elements is resistor, inductor, capacitor, transformer, etc. All these elements are the passive elements, students. See, resistor, it takes the energy, absorb the electrical energy. Then that energy is dissipated in the form of heat. That means that electrical energy is converted into heat energy. That dissipate in the form of heat. Take the example in geysers. In geysers, you are utilizing this property. Even in the case of, take the example, in the case of iron boxes also, we are utilizing this concept only. That dissipate in the form of, internally there is a resistor. When our current is flowing through the resistor, that power is dissipated in the form of heat. That heat energy we are utilizing in the case of iron boxes. Understand? That means it takes the electrical energy, but it is converting in the form of heat energy. Even inductor means it converted in the form of magnetic form. This capacitor means it converted in the form of electric field. Like that, it converting one energy to another energy. Take the example of transformer. But sir, is a transformer is energy conversion device? No. Externally it is not energy conversion, but internally it is energy conversion. Yes, sir. For a transformer, input what you are giving? Electrical input. What is the output we are getting? Electrical output. Input is electrical, output is electrical. Sir. Where is the energy conversion, sir? But internally it is energy conversion. Because internally, whenever electrical energy is given, that converted into magnetic form, that magnetic energy again converted into electric. Okay, that's the reason why this is also treated as a passive element. All elements are, an element is said to be passive element. It absorbs electrical energy and convert into other form of energy. Then it is treated as a, which elements are passive elements. Students, resistor, inductor, capacitor, transformer, etc. Students understand what the active element, what the passive. But this will not ask in competitive exam. What is active element? What is passive? Like that, it is not asked. But how the questions we can expect in competitive exam, that you will see. Yes, students? Yes. This is important notes in order to solve the questions in competitive exam based on the active and passive elements. To solve the questions based on the active and passive elements, then this is the important note. If slope is positive, actually by giving the VI characteristics, it is asking identify, is it a passive element, active element, linear element, non-linear element, like that it is asking. Then how to identify active and passive element? If in a given VI characteristics, from VI characteristics point of view, I am explaining students, if slope is positive in the sense R is greater than slope. In VI characteristics, the slope is defined as V by I. In VI characteristics, the slope is defined as V by I. I think all of you know the Ohm's law. This minimum fundamental, you know, later on I will give. Slope equal to V by I. If the slope is positive, greater than 0 or greater than or equal to 0, that is R is greater than or equal to 0, then it is treated as a passive element. It is treated as a passive element. If slope is negative, then it is treated as a active element. If slope is negative, if the slope is negative in the sense V by I, students, V by I less than 0, that is R is less than 0, then it is treated as an active element. In VI characteristics point of view, how to answer that I am explaining. In a given characteristics, if both the conditions are satisfied, in a given characteristics, if both the conditions R less than 0 and R greater than 0 is satisfied, then it is taken as an active element. It is not a passive element. Based on this statement, already question is framed in IES exam, engineering services exams. Based on this one, already one question is framed. In a given characteristics, if both R less than 0 and R greater than 0 is satisfied, both are satisfied, then it is taken as an active element. Then it is treated as active element. Students, please concentrate what are the points I am giving. In competitive point of view, these note points are very important. What is active element? What is passive element? Like that, they don't ask. They don't ask. But mainly, this approach is important in competitive. Yes, friends. One more note I am giving here. This is also very important. This also from VI characteristics point of view only I am explaining. Yes, friends. Once we can solve different models of problems, then we get idea, students, what is the need of these points. If voltage sign and current direction is not given along with the characteristics, just by giving the characteristics, if it is asked what is the actual, what is the type of element it is asked, then the type of element is identify rule of slope. Just by calculating the slope, then we can identify the type of element. If R greater than 0, passive element. If R less than 0, active element. Like that, we can identify voltage sign and current directions are not given. But sometimes the question is asking like this. If voltage sign and current directions, direction is given, yes, please correct this one. If voltage sign and current direction is given, along with the characteristics, and it indicates the power absorption, whatever the voltage sign and current directions indicate the power absorption. That means, and this is some element, along with the characteristics, this element, polarity and current direction is given like this. Let this is one element. Here, positive, negative. Current is entering at positive terminal means it absorbs the energy. It takes the power. That means that sign and polarity indicate the power absorption. Then the type of element is identified by rule of slope or rule of power absorption and delivery. Based on the rule of slope also we can identify, or rule of power absorption and delivery is also we can apply. Rule of power absorption and delivery. If the power is absorbing, passive element. If power is delivering, active element. Or if R greater than 0, passive element. If R less than 0, active element. Like that we can. Any rule we can have. Yes, this is the second one. Third case. If voltage sign and current direction is given along with characteristics and it indicates the power delivered. That means along with characteristics, this sign is also given in the problem. But this sign is given like this. This is I. This is positive, negative. That is current is. This is the positive, negative. Yes, friends. Now this sign is given. Like this sign is given. Current direction. That means current is leaving from the positive terminal of this element. That's why it is a delivers. Power delivered. That means this sign is given like this. Then the type of element is identified by rule of power absorption and delivered. Don't apply the rule of slope. In this case, very important. This case is important, students. Don't apply the rule of slope here. You can apply the rule of power absorption and delivered. If the power is absorbed, then it is taken as a passive element. The power is delivered, then it is taken as a active element. Okay, this only one rule we can have. But in these two cases, here also we can apply two rules. Here also we can apply two rules. But here only one rule we can apply. Don't apply the rule of slope. If you apply the rule of slope, we can get the wrong answer. Understand? Now see how to solve these questions based on these three statements. Mainly four statements, four types of models that I want to explain here. Students, model 1. If voltage sign and current sign, if voltage and current directions, voltage sign and current direction is not given, along with characteristics, the type of element is identified by rule of slope. Yes, friends. For example, first problem I am solving. Can you identify what the type of element? Just by seeing the characteristics. These models are important for computer exams. Here, these are the characteristics. This is V, this is minus V, and this is I, and this is minus. VI characteristics, students. The VI characteristics are given like this. Can anybody identify what is the type of element, students? Please identify type of element. Please follow this. But here, along with characteristics, the sign indication is not given, just given the characteristics only. Then identify the type of element. It's active element or passive element. I'm talking about the active and passive element. Still now, I'm talking about only active and passive elements. I'm not started linear, non-linear like this, all this I'm not started. Just I'm explaining only active and passive. See, here there is no any circuit and they don't given any current directions, all this, just they given the characteristics, then apply the rule of slope. Students, what the slope here? Slope is, here what the slope here? That is V by, this is positive, that is slope is positive, that is R is greater than 0. Here students, what is the slope here? This side also, in both the direction we can calculate. What is the slope, students? Minus V by minus I, that is V by, here also slope is positive, that is R is greater than 0, hence it is a passive element. This characteristics for passive element. Yes, friends, this characteristics for passive elements. Or otherwise, we can also apply the rule of, we can also apply like this, rule of power delivered and power absorption, students. Here V greater than 0, I greater than 0, students. V greater than 0, I greater than 0 means power is V into I. That is power is positive. Power is positive means Power is positive. Power is positive means here P equal to VI, that is power is observed. Power is observed. Power is observed. And here also students, this is V less than 0, I less than 0. But what are the power students? Minus V into minus I. What are the power? Positive. Power is positive means power is observed. Power is observed. That's why, what are the students? The type of element is passive element. All the passive elements takes the power. It's not delivers the power, it takes the power. That's why the type of element is. But simply, instead of going for power absorption in this case, the best method is go for the slope. Far greater than slope is positive, passive element. Slope is positive, passive element. Like that you can identify. See, one more problem I'm giving students. Please identify the type of element. This model is important for computer exams. Please identify the type of element. And I given the characteristics like this. This is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus I. Yes, friends. What is the slope here? The slope is
Negative.
yes, V by minus I. This is our negative. This side, sir, what is the slope?
Negative.
Negative. This is minus V by I, sir. Slope is negative. That is, slope is negative means
Active element.
active element. That is R less than 0, sir. It is a active element. But in this case, we can also apply the concept of power also. But best method is go for the slope. If you want to go for concept of power means P equal to this is V into minus I students. Power is negative. Voltage is positive, current is negative, power is negative. But here what is the concept students? P equal to this is minus V into I students. Power is negative. Power positive means what I taken? It takes the power. It takes the power. It absorbs the power. But here power is delivered. Power is delivered means which elements delivers the power? Power is delivered. That's why it is active element. Okay, like that also we can identify students. That means in first model and second model, both the rules we can apply. But in third model, we can apply only one rule, that is the power rule only. Don't apply the slope. Okay, like this we can identify the type of element. The students, please concentrate. For example, one more question I am giving like this. Can anybody identify this one? Active element or passive element? Any question is given like this we can see. This is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus I. What is the slope? V by, this is positive, then which element? Passive element. Passive element. Like this we can add. Yeah, this is the passive element. Now you try this one. You try this. This is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus I. Students, you try this one.
Active.
That is active. Very good. This is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus I. This is also which element? Active element. And can also try like this. This is V, minus V, this is I, this is minus I. This is which element?
Passive element.
Passive. That means what is the final observation here? One statement here. If the characteristics are in first and third quadrant, if the characteristics are in first and third quadrant, the element is, see, this is first quadrant, this is third quadrant. If the characteristics are in first and third quadrant, the characteristics are, this also third quadrant. In first and third quadrant, the characteristics are, then the element is passive. If the characteristics are in second and fourth quadrant, the element is
Active.
Active.
So without doing this procedure, directly we can say that which is positive, which is active, which is passive, and which is active. Okay, this is the final observation. That statement you can write slow. The characteristics are in first and third quadrant. The element is passive. If the characteristics are in first and third quadrant, the element is passive. And if the characteristics are in second and fourth quadrant, the element is active. Okay, this is first model of problems based on active and passive elements. Yes, friends. You see the model 2. If voltage, sign, and current direction is given along with characteristics, and it indicates the power absorption, that sign indicates the power absorption, then the type of element is identified by rule of slope or rule of power absorption and element. Any rule we can apply. This is similar to that one, but the model is given like this. Here, one element is given. One element is given. That means along with characteristics, the element is also given. Sometimes the questions is asking like this. And this is the direction of current. This is positive, negative. And this also positive, negative. And the characteristics are given like this. Now identify the type of element. This is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus. Yes, friends, here current is enter at positive terminal. That's why this indicates power absorption. Indicates the power absorption. It indicates power absorption. I told already, it indicates the power absorption. If the current is enter at positive terminal of the element, then it indicates the power absorption. Then once it indicates the power absorption, any rule we can apply. Then find this one slope. Slope equal to V by I. That is the positive. That is R greater than 0. Then here also you can apply the slope. Slope is positive. That is R greater than 0. Then which element? It is the type of element is passive element. It is the passive element. Like this we can. Even same model, you try this one. The element is given like this. This is X, that particular element. And this is the direction of current. Positive, negative. This is the supply polarity, current direction, supply polarity, and characteristics also given. Then this is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus I. Then just you find the, because this indicate the, which one? It indicates power absorption. The polarity, it indicates power absorption. Power absorption. Yes, friends, it indicates the power absorption. Once it indicates the power absorption means, then here you find the slope. What the slope?
Active.
Slope is negative. That is R less than 0. Which elements, friends? Active element.
Active.
Okay, this is the maximum model 1 and model 2 is same. Same procedure you follow. Okay, this is the active elements. Now see the model 3 is different. If voltage, sign, and current direction is given along with characteristics and it indicates the power delivered, then the type of element is identified by rule of power absorption and element. Don't apply the rule of slope. Yes, friends, this is the example I am giving. This particular element is X. This is a positive, negative. This is supply. So positive, negative. This is the direction of current. Yes. The characteristics are given. Yes, this is V, this is minus V, this is plus I, and this is minus I. Plus I and minus I. And this the characteristics. Identify the type of element. Here R greater than 0. Then if you write passive element, passive element, passive element, this is wrong. This analysis is wrong. Passive, this is the wrong analysis. Because it indicates the power delivered. The current direction is leaving from the positive terminal. It indicates power delivered. It indicates power delivered. Power delivered. Now the type of element is identified by not the slope, rule of slope. The type of element is identified by rule of power absorption and power delivered, students. Then you find this one. Here, what is V, students? Greater than 0. What is I, students? Greater than 0. V greater than 0, I greater than 0. Here also, V less than 0, I less than 0. V less than 0, I less than 0. Yes. Power is positive. Power is positive. Power is positive means power is delivered. Power is delivered. The power is delivered means which elements will deliver the power? Which elements will deliver the power? Active elements. That's why it is an active element. It is an active element. The power is delivered means which elements will deliver the power? Active elements. That's why it is an active element. Next. The same one more model I am giving here. This is the type of element. This is I, positive, negative. This positive, negative, V. The characteristics are given like this. This is V, this is minus V, this is I, this is minus I. Students, can I identify what the type of element is? You can apply the rule of power. Here, power is
Negative.
yes, sir. Power is negative. Don't apply this concept here. If you think like this, this is R less than 0. R less than 0 means it is active element. Active element. Okay, this wrong analysis. Then what is the power? The power is minus I into plus V, minus into plus minus, power is negative. Power is negative means
Absorbs.
power absorbs. Power
Passive.
absorbs. Which elements will absorb the power?
Passive elements.
Passive elements. Passive elements will absorb the power. Like this you can have. Okay, this case only different. This case only different. Remaining cases, we go through that process. Yes, friends. Okay, this is about what exactly model 3 question. In a given characteristic, if both r less than 0 and r greater than 0 is given, then it is taken as an active element. It is not taken as a passive element. For this, I am giving this example. Yeah, this is asked in ESC, engineering service exams. Can identify what is the type of element here?
Active.
Yes. Their slope is positive. This is V, this is V, this is minus V, this is plus I, this is minus I students. Their slope is positive. Here slope is negative. This is R greater than 0. This is both are exist. If both are exist, then it is taken as a active element. It is active element. For active element only, we may expect this characteristics. That's why you taken as a this is the active. Yes, friends, I think you got the idea how to identify active element as passive element from the given characteristics. My suggestion is first two models go for the concept of slope r less than 0 or greater than 0. Don't go for the power calculations. Maybe you got some confusion because exactly opposite you are taken in third model. Okay, that's the reason why in the first and second model, don't make any confusion. It is better to go for the only slope calculation. Better to go for the because we may get some confusion. Don't calculate the any power calculations. Okay, don't do any power calculations. Better to go for the only which one slope. This method also good, but as compared to third model, we are getting some confusion. That's the reason I am telling like this. Go for the only slope calculation. This is my suggestion, students, because don't make any confusion. Instead of power calculations, better to go for the only slope calculation. In the first and the second model. In the first and the second model, go for the slope calculation. It's okay. But in third model only, go for the power calculation. Go for the power calculation. Yes, we can easily identify power is positive. Then if the power is positive, power is delivered. If the power is negative, power is absorbed. Just to remember these two statements. That is enough. That's the first and second model you solved based on the slope. The third model you can solve based on the power. The fourth model, all of you know this. Okay, this is about what exactly active element and a passive element. Students, any doubt? Okay, I think you got some idea how to identify active and passive. The next type of elements is linear and non-linear elements. Linear and non-linear elements. Yes, friends. An element is said to be linear. An element is said to be linear whose VI characteristics follows one equation of straight line, only one equation of straight line passing through horizon. Passing through horizon for all times. Otherwise, it is non-linear. Very important statement. Students, please concentrate. An element is said to be linear whose VI characteristics follows only one equation of straight line passing through horizon. What is the one equation of straight line passing through horizon? Y equal to mx equation. At all times, the characteristics follows only this equation, only one equation. Then we can say that that must pass through the horizon. Then we can say that that elements are the linear elements, or otherwise it is a non-linear elements, or otherwise it is a non-linear element. Now see some examples here. But there is a mathematical concept is also there, but this statement I given according to VI characteristics. With respect to VI characteristics, I given this statement. With respect to VI characteristics. If any VI characteristics are given, how to identify is it a linear element or non-linear element? If it satisfies only one equation of straight line passing through origin, then that is a linear element. Otherwise, it is a non-linear element. Like that, we can identify. But there is a mathematical concept is also there. Then mathematically, how to identify is a linear element or non-linear element? Mathematically, to analyze given is linear or non-linear, if that element satisfies both superposition and homogeneity principle, then we can say that that is a linear element. If any one principle is not satisfied, then it is treated as a non-linear element. Understand, students? Okay, that is with respect to mathematical approach. That statement also later on I will give. But with respect to characteristics point of view, an element is said to be linear whose VI characteristics follows one equation of straight line in all times, then it is treated as a linear element. Otherwise, it is a non-linear element. Now tell me some examples I am giving here. Students, can you identify it is a linear element or non-linear element? I'm writing clearly. It's a linear or non-linear?
Linear, sir.
It is a linear element. Then how to identify it is a linear element means it is passing through origin, no doubt at all. You see this side, positive side, you see negative side. In both the sides, at all times. The statement is for all times, at any time. Always it follows the only one equation of straight line. At any time you can calculate the line equation. This we can get only one equation. At all times it follows the one equation only. And it is also passing through origin. That's why it is a linear. That's why it is a linear. Both the sides, it follows only one equation of straight line. This side straight line equation, this side straight line equation must be same. Then we can say that it is a linear element at all times and it must passing through origin. The second one, can you identify it is a linear or non-linear? This is V minus V, this is I, this is minus I. It's a linear or non-linear? It is also linear. It's one equation of straight line. This side, at any time you can calculate only one equation. This side also one equation. And at all times it is one equation and it is also passing through origin. That's why it is a linear. Next, third one. Can you identify it is a linear or non-linear? Yes.
Non-linear.
It's a non-linear. Yes, sir. Even though it is not passing through origin, it touches the origin, but its equation is not same for all times. But this side, the equation is not there. But this side only it is having equation. But at all times, you take minus infinity to plus infinity. That is the meaning. Okay, at all times, it follows only one equation of straight line. That line must pass through the origin. Then only it is treated as a linear, but it is a non-linear. Only one side it is following, but it touches the origin only. It is not passing through origin. The other side, we don't have that equation. It's a non-linear. This V, this is minus V, this plus I, this is minus. It is also which one?
Non-linear.
Non-linear. Fifth one I am giving. This is V, this is minus V, this is plus I, this is minus I. Can you identify it as linear or non-linear? It is also
Non-linear.
non-linear. This equation is different, this equation is different. It's a linear or non-linear?
Non-linear.
Non-linear.
Because up to this point one equation. After this, the equation it changes. But it must follow only one equation, not the two equations. At all times, it must follow one equation. Up to this one equation, but it is remains constant. That means this is plus V, this is minus V, this is plus I, this is minus I. Here V is proportional to I. But here V remains constant. V remains constant. That's why here V equal to constant. It following the two equations. That's why it is a non-linear. That's why it is a non-linear. You like this, any other than these two characteristics, remaining all the non-linear. Just to remember like this. If it is given like this also non-linear. Is also non-linear. Any characteristics are given like this. For example, I'm giving like this. This is plus V, this is minus V, this is plus I, this is minus I. So linear or non-linear?
Non-linear.
Because it is not passing through origin. It is not passing through origin. That's why it is a non-linear. One more example. This is plus V, this is minus V, this is plus I, this is minus I. This is also non-linear because it is not passing through origin. Non-linear. Like that we can. Then we can identify if it's a linear or non-linear. Then how to identify mathematically? I'm writing note. So mathematically, a system is said to be linear, or an element is said to be linearity. For linearity, it must satisfy superposition, homogeneity principle. It must satisfy superposition and homogeneity principle. Then what do you mean by superposition? What do you mean by homogeneity means? For example, let's consider a system. This concept of system I am explaining for element. This you already studied even in mathematics also. Let this is any system I consider. The input to the system is x of t. The output of the system is y of t. For example, for x1 of t of input, I am getting output is y1 of t. Next, I am giving the input is x2 of t, then I am getting the output is y2 of t. For this system, for input of x1 of t, I am getting the output is y1 of t. Next, I change the another input. I change it to another input, that is x2 of t. I am getting y2 of t is the output. For x2 of t input, I am getting the output is y2 of t. Then, what is the superposition principle? Then, according to superposition principle, then x1 of t plus or minus x2 of t is equal to y1 of t plus or minus y2 of t plus or minus y2 of t. If it is satisfied, then we can say that it is a then we can say that the system is satisfying the superposition principle. That is x1 of t plus x2 of t equal to y1 of t plus y2 of t, or x1 of t minus x. That the difference of input is equal to difference of outputs. Sum of the inputs equal to sum of the outputs are equal. Then we can say that the system is satisfying superposition principle. The system is satisfying superposition principle. Then what is the homogeneity principle? What is the homogeneity? This is the superposition principle. Sum of the inputs must be equal to sum of the outputs. So difference of inputs must be equal to difference of outputs. Then we can say that that is the superposition. Then what is the homogeneity, yes, students? What is the principle of homogeneity? Yeah, the homogeneity is, for example, the input is x of t, the output is also y of t. This is x of t, the output is y of t. Then according to homogeneity, if input is scaled by a factor of a, if the input is scaled by a factor of a, output is also must be scaled by a factor of a. Then we can say that the system is satisfying the homogeneity principle. If the input is scaled by a factor of a, that means the input and output is scaled by same factor. That is, input and output must be scaled by same factor. Scaled by same factor. Same factor. Then we can say that the system is satisfying which one? Homogeneity principle. Now, by combining, later on that I will explain. Yes, sir. Here I am giving, by combining both homogeneity and superposition. By combining both superposition and homogeneity, superposition and homogeneity principle, then how we can write? This we can write as a1 into x1 of t plus or minus you take here, but I taken the only plus. You can take sum or you take the difference, both are. Then a2 into x2 of t is equal to, how we can write? a1 into y1 of t plus a2 into y2 of t. If it is satisfied like this, then we can say that the system is satisfying both homogeneity and superposition principle. Then it is treated as a linear element. Then it is treated as a. Then what is the final observation here, students? That means if any system is satisfying the superposition and homogeneity principle, means whatever the coefficients at input side, the coefficient at output side is also same. The coefficients at input side is a1, a2. What the coefficients at output side is also a1, a2. The coefficients at input side, the coefficients at output side is same. Then it is treated as a, it's satisfying the both homogeneity and superposition principle. Then it is a linear element. This is the linear characteristics. Linear element. This element is treated as a linear. Like this, we can identify mathematically given is a linear or not linear. Students, for example, I want to find is resistance is a linear element or not. Take the characteristics of V equal to IR characteristics. Is a V equal to IR characteristics are is a linear or non-linear you want to identify. Given that V equal to IR, is it a linear or non-linear? Mathematically, how to prove? Mathematically, how to prove that it is a linear or non-linear? But you know this one, V by IR, V is proportional to R, then V by I equal to, that is V is proportional to I. That's why it is a linear. All of you know this one, but mathematically, by applying both homogeneity and superposition, how it is. Now, for example, let us assume that V equal to IR. V equal to IR reality. Let I is the input. This is R. The system I am writing like this. This is I. This is V squares. What is V equal to IR? This is input. This is output I take. then V1 equal to I1 into R. What is V2 equal to I2 into, for two different currents, I am getting two different outputs. Then V2 into I. Then what is V equal, students? This is V1 equal to I1 into R, V2 equal to I2 into R. V1 equal to I1 into R, V2 equal to I2 into R. Yes. Then what is V equal, students? V equal to IR. For example, I am scaling the input. I am scaling the input by a factor of A. I am scaling the input like this, A and B. This is R into A in, that is A1 into, or A into I1 plus B into I2. Input is scaled. The coefficients of input is A and B, students. Right? The coefficients of input. Input is which one? Current. The coefficients of input is A and B. Then shall you write like this? B equal to, that is A into I1 into R plus B into I2 into R. Then A into, what is I1 into R? V1. What is I2 into R? What is I2 into R, students? What is I2 into R? V2. V2. That means if the input is scaled, the input coefficients are A and B. What are the output coefficients also?
A and B.
And that's why it is a linear. That's why it is. This is the proof mathematically. It is a linear. How to prove that it is a linear or non-linear mathematically? By applying the homogeneity and the superposition principle. Or otherwise, you take one more example. For example, V equal to L into di by dt. Is a linear or non-linear? V equal to L into di by dt. Yes. That means this is input is I taken the current. Output, this is one system I am creating like this. This is inductor. Then what is the voltage across the inductor? V equal to L into di by dt. Is it a linear or non-linear? How to identify? Then for V1, for I1 input, the output is V1 equal to L into di1 by dt. Is it correct? V2 equal to, for I2 input, two different inputs, di2 by dt. di2 by dt. What is V equal, students? L into di by dt. V equal to L into di by dt. That is L into d by dt of, I am scaling the input like this, A into I1 plus B into I2. Shall we write like this? D by, this is A into L into di1 by dt plus B into L into di2 by dt. What is L into di1 by dt? P1. What is L into di2 by dt? P2. The input is scaling. The input coefficients are A comma B. What the output coefficients is also A comma B. That's why it is a which elements? It is a linear element. Even we can also prove this one. IC equal to C into dV by dt. Please try this one. This is over. But without solving also directly we can write this one. It is a linear. Why? Because this differentiation, whatever the differentiator and integrators are there, this differentiator and integrator are the linear operators. Differentiators and the integrators are the linear operators. Hence, it is a linear element. Like that also you can write. Note, you remember, differentiator. That's the reason why it is a linear. Differentiator and this you know in mathematics. And integrators are linear operators. Are linear. Sir, why it is a linear operator? Because it satisfies the superposition and homogeneity principle. Again, the concept will come again for superposition and homogeneity only. Integrators are linear operators. That's why it satisfies. That's why it is a linear element. That's why it is a linear element. Hence, R comma L and C are the linear elements. Are linear elements. R L C is linear elements. Okay, this is about what exactly linear elements. Sir, what is the non-linear element? If this principle is not satisfied, then it is taken as a non-linear element. Then what is the non-linear? If homogeneity and superposition principle mathematically, if homogeneity And if any one principle is not satisfied, superposition principle is not satisfied, then it is a non-linear element. Then what is the example of non-linear? The examples of non-linear is, take the example of diode. Diode is the non-linear element. Take the example of diode is the non-linear element. Take this is one diode. Let the diode is under forward bias condition. The current through the diode is, if the diode is under forward bias condition, the current through the diode is, all of you know this one in ADC subject or analog electronic subjects. This is I naught into e power v by eta vt minus 1. Sir, there is exponential function is there, sir. This exponential function is a linear function or non-linear function, sir? What is this exponential function? Is it linear or non-linear? Non-linear. It can't satisfy the superposition and homogeneity principle. If you want to try this one, then it is a non-linear. You take the example of y equal to mx plus c. So y equal to mx plus c is a linear or non-linear? Y equal to mx plus c, it is also non-linear. You please try to solve this one. Y1 equal to mx1 plus c, y2 equal to mx2 plus c. Like that you try to solve this one and prove that it is a non-linear. It is also non-linear. If homogeneity and superposition principle is not satisfied, then it is a non-linear. Take the example of diode. Diode is a non-linear characteristics. Then I naught equal to e power v by eta vt minus u. I think you know this one. If you take the diode characteristics, this is under forward bias condition and this is under reverse bias condition. Okay. Is it following the same characteristics in both the direction? No, it is not following the same characteristics in both the direction with respect to characteristics. That's why it is a non-linear. It is not a one equation of straight line. This characteristics is different. This characteristics is different. Okay, that's why it is treated as a which one, sir? It is a non-linear. Yeah, it is a non-linear. Students, understand what is the linear element, what is the non-linear element, how to identify given is a linear or non-linear. For time, the space is not available. That's why I taken after this. Okay, please don't confuse this. Okay, so this is about linear element and non-linear. The next third type of characteristics is bilateral and unilateral elements. Bilateral and unilateral elements. Students, please follow this. Yes, an element is said to be bilateral. It offers same impedance for both the directions of current and for both the polarity of voltage. Otherwise, it is unilateral element. If you change the current direction, if you change the voltage polarity, once it offers the same impedance in both the directions. Simply remember one statement. If it offers the same impedance on both the directions, then it is treated as a which element? Bilateral element. Or otherwise it is treated as a unilateral element. So, okay, it offers the same impedance in both the directions. One more point. Bilateral elements has identical VI characteristics for current in both the directions. It is having the identical VI characteristics for current in both the directions. Okay, you take the current from left to right or you take the current direction from right to left whose characteristics are same, then we can say that it is also bilateral element. For bilateral element, characteristics are symmetrical about origin. It is for all the bilateral elements, the characteristics are symmetrical about origin. For bilateral elements, the slope of VI characteristics for I greater than 0 and I less than 0 is same. Just now I given statement. For bilateral element has identical VI characteristics for current in both the directions. This is the meaning. For bilateral element, the slope for VI characteristics, for I greater than 0 and I less than 0 is same. Then it is treated as a which one? Bilateral. All the resistor, inductor and capacitors are bilateral elements. For unilateral element, the characteristics are not same for both the direction of current. That means it cannot offer the same impedance in both the direction. It cannot offer the same impedance in both the direction. Then it is treated as a unilateral element. The example of unilateral element is, which one, sir? Diode is the unilateral element. It cannot offer the same impedance in both the direction. Cannot offer the same impedance in both the direction. Then it is treated as a unilateral element. See, for example, here example I am giving a bilateral. Resistor, inductor and capacitor is nothing but a bilateral. You take the example of resistor. Let this is I. The polarity is plus minus. This is R. Even though you can reverse the current direction, it offers the same resistance only. See, if the current is this direction, the resistance offered by this element is R. If the current is this direction, the resistance offered by this element is also R. It is not different. It offers the same resistance for both the directions of current. Then we can say that it is a bilateral element. For example, you take the inductance. For inductance means you take the inductive reactance. For inductance, you take the inductive reactance. This is I. What is reactance? All this later you see. This is plus minus. Okay. It offers the reactance of XL. Even though you can reverse the same current. I am not changing the magnitude of current. I am giving the same current, but reverse direction. Then it also offers how much reactance, sir? Same reactance only it offers. You take the capacitance, sir. Capacitance. The current through this capacitance is I. Let it offers the capacitance of capacitive reactance of XC. Then even though we can reverse the current direction, if the current direction is reversed, then also it offers the same reactance. That's why it is a bilateral element. It offers the same impedance or reactance or resistance in both the directions of current for both the polarity of supply. Then we can say that it is a bilateral element. Sir, what is the example of unilateral elements? What is the example of unilateral elements?
Diode.
Yeah, diode. See, for example, let us consider a diode. If the diode is under forward bias conditions, if the diode is under forward bias condition, if it is under this is the anode and this is the cathode. Anode is connected to high potential, cathode is connected to low potential. Then it is treated as a diode is under forward bias condition. This is under forward. You know this one, this minimum knowledge. If the diode is under forward bias condition, it is equivalent to closed switch. It is equivalent to closed switch. Then what is the resistance offered in this path? RF is nearly equal to 0. Ideally, this RF is 0. Ideally, but it offers some, practically it offers some resistance, no doubt at all. But ideally it is nearly equal, ideally it is a 0. Then it is, current is this direction. Current is this direction. If the same diode is reverse bias, if the same diode is reverse bias, this is negative, this is positive, sir. Anode is connected to lower potential, cathode is connected to higher potential. Cathode is connected to higher potential. Then the diode is under which condition? Reverse bias condition. It is under reverse bias condition. Now the direction of current is positive to negative. Externally always current direction is positive to negative. Yes, sir. Now it is open switch. Under reverse bias condition, diode acts as an open switch. Diode acts as a open switch. Under reverse bias condition, now this is the direction of current. That means in this case, if the current is reversed, whatever the resistance offered by this diode, is it same? Is it 0 now? No. Ideally, its value is nearly equal to infinity. Ideally, its value is infinity. But practically, it offers very high resistance in the range of kilo ohms to mega ohms. But practically, whose resistance is very small, that depends on the type of diode we are using. It may be in the range of 5 ohms or 10 ohms. That very small resistance it will. Very small resistance it has. That is the body of the diode. Understand, sir? That means if the current direction is reversed, what the resistance offered by this element is also changed. That means for two different directions of current, it offering the two different resistances. That's why it is treated as a which elements are unilateral element. It is treated as a like that you can identify which is the bilateral element, which is the unilateral element. Yes, sir. Now, in the characteristics point of view, how to identify it is a mainly in the competitive exams. Instead of giving the type of element, they are asking by giving the characteristics, identify the type of element. It's a unilateral or bilateral element. Take the examples. With respect to characteristics point of view, how to identify unilateral or bilateral. Can you say that it is a, please tell this one, is it a unilateral or bilateral?
Bilateral.
Yes. So it's very simple, just to calculate the impedance or resistance at any point in both the directions. Yeah, that is here Z equal to V by, always it gives the positive. Here also you can calculate Z or V, or Z equal to V by, this is also positive, and both are at any point you calculate impedance at this point, you calculate impedance at this point. It gives the same impedance in both the directions. It gives the same impedance in both the directions. That's the reason why it is a which elements are bilateral element. Bilateral element. Because it offers same impedance in both the directions. Same impedance in both the directions. That's why it is bilateral. It is a bilateral element. For example, if the characteristics are given like this. Can you identify it is a unilateral or bilateral?
Bilateral.
It is also bilateral. In both the sides, you can calculate the impedance, that point, impedance or resistance. Or impedance or resistance, you can calculate. This side also, it gives the same value. Then it is a bilateral. The impedance is same in both the direction. That's why it is a bilateral. Yes, sir. This is bilateral. One observation here, that is one statement I want to give, that is important for theory questions already framed in competitive exam. Students, please consider. Sir, it is a bilateral element. But what about this one? Linear or non-linear?
Non-linear.
It is a non-linear. It is not satisfying same equation for all times. That's why it is a non-linear. It is a linear or non-linear?
Linear.
Linear.
Yes. One statement here, sir. All linear elements are bilateral elements. All linear elements are bilateral elements. But vice versa may not be true. But vice versa may not be true. All linear elements are bilateral elements. But all bilateral elements may not be linear elements. Example is this one. You take any linear element, it is a bilateral. But it is a bilateral. Is it a linear?
No.
No, it is a non-linear. That's the reason why this statement is important. All linear elements are bilateral. All linear elements are bilateral. But vice versa may not be true. may not be true. But vice versa may not be. This statement you remember to answer any theory questions. Here one more character 6 I am giving, sir. One more example I am giving here. Can you identify it is a unilateral or bilateral? So this is 4 volts. This is 5 amperes. This is minus 6 volts. This is 2 amperes. Minus 2 amperes. Is it a unilateral or bilateral?
Bilateral.
Unilateral.
See, sir, here I am not giving any values. Here I am not giving any values. Just by seeing the curve, just we are telling that it is a unilateral. But here I have given the intercepting values are different. That's why I told, if you want to identify the unilateral or bilateral, first you calculate the impedance or resistance. Here I am calculating the resistance. V by I. 4 by 5, sir. 4 by 5 means how much? 0.8 volts. Then what is V by this side? V by I. What is V, sir, here? Minus 6. What is I? Minus 2. How much we are getting? 3 ohms. Is it both the direction it is offering same impedance? It is offering same resistance, sir? No. That's why it is which element, sir?
Unilateral.
Please, sir, don't confuse. Sir is told these characteristics are by that, like that, don't by heart. What I am telling that you calculate the resistance in both the direction. If the resistance in both the direction is same, then we can say that it is a bilateral. Otherwise, it is a bilateral. If that values are not given, then this is very easy to identify. If values are given, according to that, you can calculate the resistance. This is V, this is minus V, this is plus I, this is minus I. You tell me, it's a unilateral or bilateral?
Unilateral.
Very good. It is a unilateral. This is positive. You calculate R equal V, this is minus I. R is negative here. This is not same. These values are not same. That's why it is a unilateral. That's why it is a unilateral. This about yes. Today I discussed up to 3 elements only. Tomorrow class remaining elements that I want to discuss. Students, please concentrate. I given active and passive elements, linear and non-linear elements, unilateral and bilateral elements. In this class, I discussed only these 3 elements. When I start this, it will not complete. That's why tomorrow I will start this one. Distributed and lumped elements and time variant and time invariant and time variant elements. This is about today class. If you have any doubts, you ask. I discussed about why these conductors, why this opposition is represented by resistor, inductor and capacitor. And this is the historical view. You please concentrate. What is the historical view? Yes, sir. These are types of network elements. In the types of network elements, I discussed about active and passive elements. This is VI characteristics point of view, how to identify active and passive elements. I discussed about 4 models of problems. The linear and non-linear element, how to identify linear and non-linear elements graphically, and mathematically, how to identify linear and non-linear elements using superposition and homogeneity principle. And then what is the bilateral elements and unilateral element? Then this is the example of unilateral and bilateral element. Students, this is the continuation of, don't confuse, this is a continuation of, just because space is not there, that's why I written this one here, continuation of linear and non-linear. Just don't confuse. Okay. Sir, this about today class. Tomorrow we'll continue. Sir, any doubt?
Sir, could you please tell your Telegram channel, sir?
Yes. In your Telegram, please search like this. My telephone means 1 minute. You search like this. This is my Telegram. Surendra @3 core faculty is GATE ESC PSUs. Just you search this one, you can get this. Surendra @3 core faculty GATE ESC and PSUs. Can anybody search now? Is it there?
Yes, sir.
Today class and yesterday class, I will send these total slides. So please practice this. Okay, sir. Today, any doubts today class? Tomorrow we'll continue. Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, anybody, any doubt? If you don't have any doubts, then I will end the class. Tomorrow we'll continue. Still 15 minutes is there, but tomorrow I will extend that. Next class I will extend, not tomorrow, next coming class is things Saturday. I will extend that 15 minutes next coming class. Okay, sir, thank you.